everybody. Welcome back to Human Connections with Cassie King. And we have our next guest today, Emma from Germany.
Hello.
Would you like to start by introducing yourself a bit?
Sure. Which do I speak like this or?
You can look at either. Whatever.
All right,
Probably
cool.
maybe a bit more towards.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll look. I look at you. Yeah, my name is Emma. I am from Germany, but I kind of grew up a bit all over the world, and I just finished my master's in climate studies, which is a program in the Netherlands in a small town. I studied kind of like more environmental policy, climate governance, but a bit of climate science as well, so interdisciplinary masters, and I just finished my thesis, which is exciting and relieving. God. Thank you. And I decided to travel a bit because it's been kind of a tough year, 2 years, like wrapping it up and doing my studies and an internship. So I really wanted to treat myself to like a real full change of scenery to rest, because I find it's a little hard to rest sometimes when you're like in the same places that you always go and that you really associate with work. So now I'm traveling through Spain and Portugal, and that's how we met last night.
Yeah, so we're currently in Lisbon. Did you get here? You got here yesterday as well to Lisbon?
No, I got here a couple of days ago. I got here, I want to say Wednesday. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't know each other that well at all. We met last night. This hostel, we're currently filming in a hostel room, so hence the kind of ambiance.
Slightly cramped ambiance, but fun. Yeah.
Not as exciting as like a sunset in Spain, like one of the first ones, but we're working with what we got.
Yeah.
And the lobby was a bit too noisy, so we're up here. We might have people walk in, who knows? But we're in Lisbon, and we met last night, and this hostel actually does a really good thing like the hostel dinners, which I don't know if you're doing the one tonight, but
no, or maybe I will. Who knows? I'll see. Yeah,
the 3-course meal for €12. Yeah, and I enjoyed it last night. So I ended up doing that, and then just stayed after and was talking to people in the lobby. And then you came. I don't know where you would come from.
I came from a fado show, like this traditional Portuguese music.
I've heard about it. Was it good?
It's incredible. It's an incredible experience. It's like maybe one of my favorite nights that I've had on this travel so far. I really recommend it. It's like you kind of are situated in this little cramped bar space and lots of people, and they dim the lights, and then someone is like playing the guitar, one normal guitar, one Portuguese guitar is how it was for us, and then like there was a woman singing, but then also a man singing, and they're singing, it's very soulful music, very like clearly also very like sad and emotional, but sometimes also happy, and like it's incredible.
Oh, was it like a bar that you knew was playing music, or was it like a show you paid for that?
We actually didn't pay for the show. Like you essentially like go sit down. We went right when it opened at 7 to make sure to get a table. We had some food, we ordered it, and then there's like singing there. So I would have expected it to be like a tip-based thing where at the end you're expected to tip the singers, but no, it's really just like you eat and then like they dim the lights and there's this show.
Wow. Okay. I have to do that.
Yeah, you have to do it. Like I think. I went specifically because I knew there was like fado performances at that bar. Yeah.
Okay. Was it nearby? Where was it?
Where was it? Because the thing is, I took kind of a long way home with my friend who's from Lisbon, and she showed me around a little bit. Like we did a little, like almost like a little night tour, and she, so I'm not sure how long it was, but I'm guessing it was like a 20-minute walk. It was in Barrio Alto, I think that's the name of the neighborhood. So I can definitely recommend it for you and recommend it to anyone traveling to Lisbon or Portugal. Honestly, as fado is like really lovely. And then we just finished the performance and I came, so it was like at 11 p.m. that we met. I just sat down because I knew some people at the table that you were at.
Very cool. Wait, so you've been here since Wednesday?
Yeah.
What else have you been doing then?
Exploring different things. Like I took a walking tour. I went out with some girls that I had met actually in Porto who also ended up here. I went to go see this monastery. I forget the name right now. But I also ate a not pastel de nata, but these like Portuguese little like egg tarts. And it was a pastel de, I forgot the name, but these traditional like egg tart things, and then this fado show. I got here like Wednesday at 11 p.m. So it was like Thursday, Friday that I've had essentially. And today is Saturday? Yeah.
I'm getting my days all mixed up.
Yeah, I'm totally as well. Yeah. So and I think I did one more other thing that I'm forgetting right now. So kind of some activities, but also like I've been taking it chill and not pressuring myself too much to like
Book
pack
everything,
everything
yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'd rather just go through it with a sense of ease. Yeah.
No, that's why I mean, I'm here until Tuesday
Yeah.
morning. So I think that's like a good amount of time to get your kind of steps in, but not rush yourself out the
Yeah.
door.
I don't
Yeah.
like to rush.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've learned, especially like long-term traveling.
Yeah.
It's fine. If I'm like traveling somewhere for a weekend, I don't mind kind of packing it all
Yeah,
in.
yeah, for
But
sure.
if it's long-term, I like to have
Yeah.
a lie-in every now and then and just take a breath.
Yeah, I think it's really important. It's a lot of what I try to do in my life in general also. So
That's good.
yeah.
So you leave tomorrow afternoon, right?
I leave tomorrow morning. So I'm
Morning.
going to Faro, which is at the Algarve. And so I'm gonna go there by bus. It's like a 3-hour bus ride. I'll lock my luggage in like a safe thing in the bus station. Then maybe just head to the beach for a few hours because I really just want to stare at the ocean for a bit. I think that will like do my soul good. And then I go back to the bus station and grab another 4-hour bus to Seville, where I'm gonna do a Spanish course for 2 weeks.
That's cool. What
Yeah.
made you want to do that?
The Spanish course? That's a good question. So I went to Seville 8 years ago in 2016 with my friend Nancy. Nancy's from Colorado, and the two of us we decided to travel to Seville, and we were so naive because it was December, and we thought like, oh, Spain, it's gonna be warm year round. It's not. I brought like 4 light jackets. I wore all of them every day on top of each other.
It's more mountainous? Is that why it's colder?
Look, it's winter. Just because it's, I don't know, like Andalusia, I think just gets cold in winter. Like
Okay.
even now, for example, I've been wearing my coat sometimes here. So like, I just think I was being like delusional. I was being like really Northern European, you know? We really think all of Southern Europe is like a constant summer vacation, but it's not. But anyway, just to say, I really fell in love with it, even though I had clearly packed badly. And we were like, we were in Seville also for like a long time, actually, 12 days. Like nowadays, I feel like you kind of do the travel a bit more like, oh, 3 days here, 3 days here. But that was like a long time. And every day we walked so many kilometers and we just really loved the city. And so I thought, I really want to go back to Seville. It's been always for me like this place that I fell in love with that I wanted to go back to. Like everything smells like oranges all the time because there's
Really?
orange trees everywhere. Everything
Okay.
is fucking, I don't know if I can swear. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Everything is, sorry, this is an American thing, so I know you guys, sorry. Everything is like pastel colored.
Yeah,
It's
I've seen
beautiful.
photos. Yeah.
Ah, it's stunning. I love it. And then I just really wanted to go back. And then I knew now that I was finishing my thesis, I was like, okay, I want to travel. Like, I want to do something. Also because I know myself and I struggle to rest sometimes. Which is like the funniest thing to struggle with, I think, in a way. Like, what kind of world have we gotten to that we like have a hard time resting? But it's true. And I know it's a thing for many people. So I was like, what can I do besides just like chill somewhere? Because I can't chill on a beach in November, to be honest. It's just too cold. And I thought like I can do something that's not work. Like it's not like a job, like I'm not earning money.
But you're still
it's
bettering yourself.
But I'm still doing something for me that gives me like this like routine and repetition and something that structures my day. And I used to learn Spanish in school, in high school and part of middle school. So I thought like, why not do something that boosts my Spanish? And then like I've connected it with a bunch of other travel. You know, I started in Madrid, then Porto, then Lisbon. So I'm wrapping up Seville. So it's kind of like a way to do something nice and meaningful for myself that isn't just like going to another city and like doing my typical program of like walking tours, cafes, bars, restaurants, monuments, sightseeing, museums, like filling the time in a bit of a different way.
That's a really good idea. I wish I had thought of that because now I'm kind of wrapping up. I've got about a little less than a month left.
Okay.
But I'm finishing back near London and gonna
Okay.
see my friends and kind of say goodbye to them.
Oh,
Yeah, it's gonna be weird.
it's gonna be weird.
I actually, sorry, this is a bit of a side note, but I was thinking about this recently where I had a couple friends message me like, hey, like, are you going to be back in London at all before you go back home? Because I want to
Yeah.
see you one last time.
Yeah.
It's weird to think like, yeah, it's very bittersweet to be finishing backpacking Europe, but it's weird to think about as well. I'm also leaving behind like all these people that I met in the past
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
So I guess that's been kind of on the back burner since I've been traveling.
Yeah.
But it's weird to think about now. Like, oh yeah, I need to like go say bye.
Goodbye,
Yeah, goodbye
yeah.
to all my friends and things. I don't know. I'm like, I don't have a home to return to, so all my stuff's kind of packed up in suitcases at my boyfriend's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird to think about like they're still there. I need to go
Yeah.
see them for a bit.
And also, in a sense, I guess it's like, it doesn't have to be goodbye, because I presume you will like return, or they can visit or something, but like things are going to change, and it's good to like make space for that and be sad about that and acknowledge that, not just be like, oh, it'll be the same. Like, I'll be living halfway across the world, but it'll be the same, you know?
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. I mean, I'm hoping I've kind of left an open invitation because this upcoming summer, I mean, I'd love to come back to Europe, but I don't know what my job will be like or financial situation and
Or PhD, right? Because,
Yeah.
or maybe, I don't know.
so hopefully I'll be leaving for that in August. But I'm hoping kind of in early summer, either I can invite a group of friends to the US and host them, or I can go see them again. But we'll kind of see what happens with that. It's hard to get people's lives in order.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, but I mean, you'll see them again.
Yeah, I hope so. I know some of my friends, and I know that when I leave the UK, like when I kind of move back home, it will probably be the last time I see them, just because they're like very in-person people.
Yeah.
And some people are not good at
digital communication.
Yeah. Which I'm not the best at that. So I'm looking forward to being back in a similar time zone as my US friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to be better at kind of digital communication as well. So I don't kind of blame them for that, because I'm not the best either.
Yeah. I think as long as you align your expectations a little with other people, it's okay. Like, sometimes you go into things wanting something really different. Like, they want to be in touch every week and you want to be in touch a bit less, or like it, yeah. So I think as long as you maybe at some point have a conversation about that, that could be really helpful.
No, I agree.
Because just because you don't feel like you're as good as you want to be at digital communication doesn't mean you need to go from like 0 to 100. You know, you can be like, okay, let's call, I don't know, every 2 months, and then make it like a really nice call. And then be aware that we're not going to have another call for, I don't know, 2 months. Like,
no, I have a friend, my best friend from high school. She's now living in LA doing a master's program.
Yeah.
And her and I have like a long phone call like once every 6 months or something.
Totally fine.
Which is amazing. I can't wait to kind of be in the same country as her again.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice of like her and I kind of have that understanding and know that she's busy, I'm busy, we're in very different time zones, and we'll catch each other when we can, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's really nice. It's very generous, like, and kind of forgiving of each other's, like, not forgiving, permitting each other's life circumstances to be as they are and connect when you can. Yeah.
I think I wasn't always good at that. I think I used to take it kind of personally when people were not as good at communicating as I wanted.
Yeah.
When it's like you need to kind of communicate what you need from someone. That doesn't just apply to relationships, it applies to friendships.
It definitely does, yeah. I have to say, like, I've been really struggling with digital communication this year as well. I don't know what it is. I think I have a lot of long distance fatigue because I've been doing long distance with friends and family like all my life. And I think I'm just like so tired from it in a way. And really struggle to just like text back and have the executive function to like maintain my messages. So, yeah.
I completely understand that.
Yeah.
Is your family in Germany?
It's a bit complicated because I have like a bit of a convoluted life story. Can I?
Go on, yeah.
Okay.
I'm ready for this.
So I was born in Frankfurt in Germany, and then we moved to Azerbaijan for my dad's job. No. Where were we first? Like, my parents were living in Armenia for my dad's PhD. And then his PhD wrapped up and I was born, and then they moved to Azerbaijan for some months where I was also living with them. I was like a tiny baby. Then when I was 2 years old, we moved to the Republic of Georgia and we lived there 10 years. So we moved when I was 12.
Wow.
It was, and then we moved just my mom, my sister and I, we moved to Bangladesh. My parents had also split up, but we moved to Bangladesh and we were there for 6 years, and then I moved back to Berlin.
Wow, you've been all over. You said that yesterday, and I was like, oh, what does that mean? But,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, did I not tell this yesterday?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Oops. Or not oops. I mean, it's like, I like to tell it. It's a cool story, I know, but it's also like, I actually don't really love it when you meet people who've grown up like me, who are like, this is the first thing they share about themselves. Because I feel like sometimes I get like, I want other things to be heard first somehow, or I'm a little like, almost a tiny bit protective of this information. Like, not in, it comes up relatively quickly because, like, I'm not going to, like, lie about where I grew up. But I don't know, somehow it's not something that I'm, like, so eager to immediately slip in, maybe. I don't, like, fully know why. I think sometimes it can also come off as a little, like, that's where I lived, and you know, and I don't know, just
You're afraid of the image it paints yourself in.
feels a little icky, yeah.
Why does it feel icky?
I don't know. I just I like the way I grew up. I like a lot of things about it. It just I'm not like trying to like. I think travel is a huge privilege. Also, living in places is a privilege, and I just don't like to come off as like bragging about it because also I didn't do anything for it. It was just my parents who were like taking me with them. You know, yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe something for me to think about.
No,
also.
I don't think that. I know what you mean, but it's
Yeah.
like, it sounds like your parents were moving a lot for work and things as
Yeah.
well. It's not like they were billionaires on their yacht traveling around kind of thing.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah. I mean, but anyway, it was a cool way to grow up, and then now my dad lives in Berlin with his wife, and my mom now lives in Kiev in Ukraine.
Wow.
And like yeah, my parents were working for international organizations as I was growing up, so like that's kind of the reason for the moving around, and why did I start telling this again? There was like a link to something we
Asking
said.
about where your
you-
family was from?
Right, because I said I had long distance fatigue. So I mean, like, for example, with my dad, we were trying to communicate or stay in touch because at one point we weren't living in the same country anymore. So there was a lot of like trying to Skype and call and whatever, and that had its difficulties because we were kids and it's not really so easy to like stay in touch when you're a kid with your parent. And we missed him a lot. And then when I left Georgia when I was 12, I left behind some like really dear friends, and then I was trying to like email them. I still have emails from like 2009 where I'm like emailing my friends like, hey guys, I hate school, miss you. Like, you know, because they were in Georgia, my friends, and I was in Bangladesh at a new school. And then as I was like living in Bangladesh, also friends moved away, and then I graduated high school, and like a lot of my friends who graduated with me were like part Bengali, part Indian, or part like something like that like part Bengali, part Indian, or like part American. So a lot of them went to study in the US. So then it's like long distance with them,
Wow.
and then long distance with my friends from my undergrad, and now I'm in a long distance relationship, and so it's a lot of and long distance with a lot of friends who have come and gone, and we've lived in the same place and then different places, and yeah, really good friends live in Amsterdam or in other places, and I now live in Brussels. So it's very like
It must be really exhausting kind of being like, oh, I miss this friend. I want to try to catch up with them. Where are they living? What time zone is that? Like,
yeah.
that's a lot of steps. It's not just,
Yeah.
like for me, it's mostly just UK and US, and
Yeah.
those are the kind of the main, but then there's time zones within
Yeah.
the US. But
actually for me as well, to be honest, because I have a lot of friends in the US, like mostly East Coast, or like a couple of friends in the US, East Coast, not even like so many. And the rest of my family's in like Europe in the same time zone, more or less. I mean, my boyfriend's like in the UK, so 1 hour behind. Yeah, 1 hour behind.
from Brussels.
From Brussels,
I think
yeah.
it's same time zone here, though.
Same time zone as here, which is kind of wild. And my sister is in Berlin, so same time zone. My mom in Kiev is 1 hour also ahead or behind. I somehow can't think now. But like it's all like actually the time zones thing is not so difficult. It's just more like I really want to like invest in those relationships, and I love those people dearly. I also really care about having time alone and in-person time with friends, you know? Like I can't be like glued to my phone all the time. It really drains me. It really hurts my soul. So
No, I completely
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
yeah.
Do you find it hard, like, so your family's kind of all in different countries and things, and you're quite close to them?
True. Yeah, we're quite close. Like I said, my dad and his wife live in Berlin. My sister also in Berlin. My mom in Kiev in Ukraine, and now me, kind of like trying to set up my base in Brussels now that I've graduated my master's. So, yeah.
Wow. I completely relate to I mean, you sound quite ambitious in your career as well, given that you just did a master's and your thesis sounded really interesting.
Your thesis sounded interesting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we were going off about that.
Yeah.
I completely understand of, like, you push yourself hard in your career path, and then you want to be a good in-person friend and not glued to your phone, and then also valuing your alone time. It's hard to find the space. I feel like, for me, the digital friendships and relationships is sometimes the thing that gets pushed to the back.
Yeah.
And it's hard to prioritize of like, oh, do I give up my alone time? Do I give up my in-person friends? Do I take a break from work? It's like, where do you, there's never enough time.
No, there isn't. And I think I've had a process of reckoning this year actually with it, with like distancing from some friends. Like I've had some tough conversations this year, honestly. Yeah. And yeah, it's been hard, but I think necessary maybe because I was going beyond my capacity, I think, and I have been for a long time probably. My mom and my sister always joke about what an extrovert I am. They call me the social monster. And they always joke like if I'm going to stay in for the night, they're like, yeah, sure, you're going to stay in. And then at 7 p.m., you're going to have dinner with this person. And at 9 p.m., you're going to have drinks with that person. And then you'll go to that party. So I think also I have a high social battery and love like connecting and interacting with people. But that's also lessening. So I think it's been a process of like understanding where my limits are, and that actually the amount that I gave maybe even 2 years ago is like not, it's like was maybe unsustainable, or maybe back then it worked and now it does not. So it's been a process of prioritizing like, okay, who are the people I want to invest in, and I'm trying to get better and better at that, and really like pick my people and be like devote more to them and me and my family and the things I want to do, and keep evaluating of like, yeah, where are my priorities?
That's good. I
Yeah.
think picking your friends is carefully, I think, is really important, because I have friends that I love, but they drain my social battery really quickly. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if we just have very different contrasting personalities, but I find myself like gravitating towards people who either like boost my social battery or don't kind of affect it.
Yeah, interesting.
But I don't know, I find it weird, at least for me, that different people affect my social battery differently.
Is it like, do you feel like also some people affect it more because maybe you're less used to hanging out with them? Because I find that the more I get used to hanging out with someone, the less they also affect my social battery, if that makes sense.
No, I think it's honestly it's purely to do on how good like a conversationalist is. Like, is talking to them like pulling teeth
Okay.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I have interacted with people kind of recently who I've like tried really hard to get to know them because they were important to people who are important to me kind of thing. And I'm like talking to them and I'm like, I actually can't talk to you. Like, I can feel it hurting me.
Oh God. But that doesn't fully sound like a friend then.
No, so maybe not maybe just like not even necessarily friends, but people I'm interacting with.
Yeah.
Like for you example, like I could
Yeah.
like you don't drain my social battery at all. But like I spoke to you and I'm like, wow, she's a very interesting person. I want to talk to you.
Yeah,
You're
same.
good...
It just flows.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Us, yeah.
So I think people whose conversation it flows well with is like the people I try to surround myself with. But sometimes I have friends that doesn't always happen.
No, it's hard. And also like there are friends for different things and different like circumstances and activities and areas of life. So it's like on the one hand that's true, but on the other hand also we should be like thinking about like, okay, is this a relationship I want to keep investing in, or do I need to address something in this relationship? You know, do I need to like voice some things that I find challenging and like that I want to change or that I'm not happy with? Like, I think it's good to voice those things. And also what I wanted to say is I feel like part of having a good time in conversations is like asking questions, like being curious about the person, like give them the platform to speak about their like inner world.
No, I completely agree. Like, maybe that's part of what it is. Like, I don't need to talk about myself. I don't care about that. But it's like at some point, if I'm just sitting here asking you questions for an hour and you don't ask a single thing, doesn't that get boring?
Yeah.
Like for both people?
Yeah, I totally agree. I hate, like, it's such a pet peeve for me when people don't ask questions, because I'm like, how else are we gonna get to know each other? Like, do you already know everything? Like, you don't.
Also, I found weird, like, I've noticed that kind of 50-50 with people I meet traveling. Some people, like, I don't know, that's part of why I'm doing this podcast. I love talking to people, and I'm very interested in... Oh, our sink just makes weird noises.
Same with ours, actually. Sometimes you're just like, what is good? Like, who's crawling down there? Like, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We have a sink in the corner. Oh, yeah, you can see it in there. But, yeah, so sometimes, like, some of the people I was talking to last night at the hostel dinner, it's like, I'm asking them questions because I'm curious about their life, and it's like, they just kind of answer them and kind of stare at you blankly, and I'm just kind of like, okay, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Like, you give the vibe like you don't want to talk to me, which is fine.
Yeah, then
move on. Yeah.
I think I've gotten a little better because sometimes I'm a bit petty. Like, I'm a bit like, I ask people questions and then they don't ask me, and I feel such an annoyance within me, and then I'm like, fine, I guess you hate me. And so I've gotten a little better at being like, all right, they really don't want to know, and honestly, like, I should save my curiosity for people who are also a little curious about me, unless I just meet someone where I'm like, whoa, they're doing this one thing, I'd love to know about it, like, almost from a selfish standpoint, like, I just want to hear because it interests me or whatever. Like, of course, then I'll ask questions, but just kind of like letting people be as they are too, and just being like, not everyone's my cup of tea. And it's okay to be like actually in silence. Because sometimes with questions, it can also be a way to fill silence. And I'm trying to get better at like not doing that and kind of being like at ease with moments of silence as well.
No, I get that. I think being comfortable in silence, regardless of how close you are to the person, is like a good skill to have.
Yeah, yeah. And it actually really just requires sitting with your discomfort with silence sometimes. Yeah.
That's a really interesting way to put it.
Yeah. I feel like sitting with discomfort is such therapy speak, but I really love it, you know? Like, it's so applicable to so many situations, I find.
No, I agree. I feel like that's a really good way to kind of put of how I feel like I've benefited from solo traveling is I feel like I've worked through so much of my issues of like just not even realizing it until the end of the day. I'm just kind of walking around exploring a place and like I'm alone with my thoughts and my brain's just kind of going. And then I'm like, that's why I do that, or that's why I'm anxious, or that's why I'm stressed. And I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
Like you need to give yourself a space to just let your brain just process things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think some people are not always good at that, which it's a hard skill to learn. A lot of people are not comfortable being alone with themselves.
Yeah, but I also feel that it's like it's something you learn maybe in your 20s, or it also can catch up with you in a bad way later. So it's kind of like you should maybe learn. Yeah, would be good for you.
Agree.
You make some things easier for yourself in your future, I think.
Well, we got deep real quick.
Yeah. Listen, one thing about us.
We're 26 minutes in and we're just like, you need to be okay sitting
One must
with yourself.
learn. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yes.
So where's your, like, kind of going back to, I'm very curious about how you've moved around so much.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in the same little spot in Virginia most of my life. Like, what, did you find it really hard? You spoke about this a bit, maintaining friendships and things. Did you find it really hard when you knew that you were going to move away and kind of have to leave those friends behind and leave that place behind? Or did you get used to moving around?
Well, the thing is, I know it sounds like I moved a ton, but really it was two big chunks of like my childhood that were moving around. Like Azerbaijan I was a baby, and then Georgia was like 10 years. If you think about it, 10 years is a lot. It's like age 2 to 12.
Right.
And it was like a long time, and we also didn't even know we were going to move. It was then, it revealed itself towards the end, you know? It was like, okay, kids, in half a year or whatever, we're moving. And then we moved 6 months later. So it's like, these are not real numbers. So it was something like that. So there was never, and then I moved to Bangladesh. It was like 12 to 18, and then it was clear I would move at 18, but I had 6 years ahead. So I wasn't thinking like, oh, no point in committing or investing in these people because it's only going to be a short 6 years. Like, you know, you really then it feels like the rest of your life in a sense when you're that age, I think. So I didn't have this feeling of like, oh, what's the point in making friends? Although I was really, really miserable when I first moved to Bangladesh. I was having a very bad time. I was also getting bullied, and I think like developmentally, I was not quite a teenager, but it felt like when I arrived, I was 12, hard age to move, I would say. And everyone else was like mentally just more ahead than me in terms of like, oh, like parties and boys and da-da-da. And I was really just
at
like
12?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think my school was also, kind of a hard environment in some ways, some toxic things that were sort of brewing there. And I was very much like a baby, you know? I was like, also I dressed horribly, which is like a great way to get bullied. My outfits of that time are iconic, let's not lie, but they are embarrassingly, like iconic in an embarrassing way, you know?
Oh, mine too.
It's not great. When I see teenagers today, like people in their early teens, I'm really like, whoa, I do not look like that.
No, I think it's really weird how teenagers look now.
In a way, it's like, I think an ugly face is good for you.
Builds character.
Good for character development, but also builds trauma, I would say. So that was tough. That was really tough. And then I really had a hard time making friends. And I think I even spoke to my mom about it, like, sometime recently, and she told me that she found it very sad, because at the time I told her, like, she was like, oh, Emma, but don't you want to try and make some friends? Like, you know, I think she was trying to encourage me, and I said, like, Mom, like, I can't make new friends immediately. Like, you know, if your dog dies, you don't immediately get a new dog, you know?
Wow.
And that was, like, my metaphor for the move. So
wow.
I was having
like 12 years old.
Bad time.
She was probably like, ooh, Emma.
She was like, what have I done? I've moved my child to this, like, place. No, but, I mean, we had to be there. I think we were all really low initially with the move. And And I think it forced me to grow up quite quick, and I was very sad at like how I was feeling. I felt very unsafe in school, like not physically necessarily, but emotionally just really unwell. But then over some years it got better. But I was still really ready to leave because it was quite a toxic environment. It was in some ways my school was a bit like how you like how you see high schools in like American television.
Really?
Yeah.
That bad?
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, it was an American international school, but there was a lot of toxicity from different directions. But yeah, it was like a lot of drama. I also had like wholesome times and lovely friends and everything after some time. But yeah, it was like the coexistence of very bad times and some good times too.
But you were okay to move in the end?
Yeah, I was relieved. I was relieved. And of course I missed it, and I missed some friends that I still keep in touch with, but I was ready. I was ready to go. And my life got so much better from there. So...
And then after that's when you moved to Berlin?
To Berlin for my undergrad, and then I also worked for a year. I did a kind of like, it's like a full-time volunteership program in the ecological sector, like in an environmental NGO after that. It's something that actually most German young people who do it, they do it right after high school as a way to gain some practical experience before deciding what they study, which would have been so cool also for me to do, I think, in some ways. But whatever, I did it after my undergrad when the pandemic had just started, because I was really like, what am I doing with my life? Like, where do I go? What do I do? And now the pandemic has started, and it gave me like something to do that gave me really valuable like practical experience. Yeah, after my undergrad.
Okay, cool. How'd you find Germany or Berlin? Did you like living in Berlin?
Berlin is an incredible city. I loved it. And I made really good friends because I went to a small like German American liberal arts college. And so I made friends really quickly, and I was living on campus, and we were just having the best time. And I liked my classes. I found them interesting. So it was really cool. I loved it.
I haven't had the best experiences in Germany. I don't know if that's like just been bad luck on my part, or if it's just
Germany is sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Berlin, but I don't know. Like, I loved German beer. Is like one of the only beers I've actually enjoyed.
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
I'm not a big beer person, but
which beer do you like? Do you have a specific one that you?
Gosh, it was one of the big touristy restaurants where you get the big.
The like Bavarian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was good, but man, I was like drunk at like 1 p.m. It was.
As you should.
Yeah, Germany, German things.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. I mean, good food, but also just a lot of like meat and potatoes kind of vibe.
When were you there? Just out of curiosity.
I was in Berlin. It would have been the spring of 2022.
Yeah. But that's interesting because like actually Berlin is known as the most vegan friendly city in Europe.
I didn't know that.
Not with German traditional cuisine. There are some places that like it's their thing to do German cuisine, but like veganized or vegetarianized. But indeed, like the traditional German cuisine is not going to be, like very veggie friendly. I mean, I'm vegetarian, so like I can speak to this. Like it's not super veggie friendly, but there's like lots of variety, like just lots of cultures represented in Berlin that have now like created lots of different restaurants, like from different cultures, you know, so it's like food wise really great, or different really nice cafes. And there's also a bit of like gentrification, like different areas of the city get gentrified, and then like there's like these hipster cafes that are popping up there that then attract lots and lots of people who come, and rent prices get driven up, and like that's a very simplified explanation of gentrification, but so that does happen as well, but it does result in great cafes and like great food spots. So I think that is something really attractive that Berlin has to offer. And also like an underrated part, because a lot of people go to Berlin to party, which is like fair. There's lots of like really cool, the party scene is really good there, I think, in many ways. But for me, it's more the food that attracts me to Berlin. And the fact that a lot of my loved ones are there. That is really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of why it wasn't my favorite place is also, I think it was the first place that I went that was very similar to Berlin. Kind of reminded me a lot of London in a lot of ways.
Oh,
like
interesting.
Weather-wise, and like big city, very industrial. Yeah. And I think previous to that, the other trips that I had been on so far was like to Barcelona, and then Amsterdam, and where else did I go? Like Como, like Italy. So I was and Switzerland. So I was going to like very different places, and then Germany reminded me more of London, and so I was like, oh, this just feels like more back home kind of thing.
Okay, interesting.
So I think with me being kind of young and adventurous and wanting to see new places, and it didn't feel as like different. The juxtaposition between the two.
Yeah.
But I think also the person I was traveling with, had very different styles of traveling, and that very much affected my experience.
Fair.
So that was the first time. I was a bit, I wouldn't say reckless, but it was very strange. So 2022, I was in my like second semester of my master's.
Yeah.
I moved to the UK in the autumn of 2021.
Okay. Yeah.
The following semester is when I started traveling, and I literally just started traveling with people I like barely knew.
Okay.
So my first trip to Barcelona was with this girl who I met through one of my roommates. So I was in like a 12-person townhouse with a bunch of international students.
Okay.
I met this girl named Sam she was American and from Texas, and she was friends with one of my flatmates. And I was like, oh, you're American, I'm American, we both want to travel, you seem nice. We literally had met like one time in person, and then we had like a FaceTime call.
Whoa, okay.
And then we didn't even know each other's age. Like, she has a very young face. It turns out she was like 26 or something at the time.
Okay, relatable.
Yeah. And so we ended up going to Spain and barely knew each other. We had a great time though. Like, we both traveled very similarly. We were both kind of like easygoing, but had a couple things we really wanted to do and got along super well. So I'm like, okay, this works out great.
Yeah.
And so then I did it again with like a couple months later. I went to like Italy, Switzerland for a weekend with a girl that I like went to undergrad with in the US, and then she moved to London, and we like knew each other, but we never really hung out. Okay. And so I'm like, okay, like, I know you're nice. I know you're not going to kill me. Like,
check.
Yeah. Let's go traveling. Yeah. And then that was fine as well. Like, I think we had slightly different kind of, she was a lot more cautious and kind of knew where to travel versus I was very much like run into the fire kind of person.
Yeah.
So I think that startled her a little bit.
Yeah.
But we had a great trip with that as well. So I'm like, okay, 2 for 2. That's fine. And so then I met another American girl who's now my boyfriend, but he and I were just friends at the time. Yeah. And he was like, I don't know, you're both American. And I was like really missing home, and it was nice like meeting someone similar to my culture.
I get it, yeah.
And I literally met her like once, and then we booked a trip to Berlin. And that was kind of the like, maybe you can't just travel with just anyone.
With just anyone, yeah. I mean, you don't have to know them so well, but maybe it's good to have hung out with them like 4 times, 5 times, something like that. Yeah.
No, definitely. Okay. I think it's important. But you live and you learn.
For sure. And I mean, Berlin will always be there. So you can also go back. I think the ways in which Berlin is like a little different from London is I find it a lot more affordable. So I just find that you can just do more stuff, you know? Like you can just like be more flexible and enjoy more, and like that's part of what's nice about travel, right? Like that you don't have to ask yourself after every meal if like you should go out for dinner or if you can't afford to anymore, like depending on the budgeting. But yeah, I feel that like that's one thing that London, I always have the feeling in London, you like exit your house, you breathe twice, and you've somehow spent 25 pounds and you're like, how did this happen? Like I've been to London a couple of times, but each time I just feel like an expensive experience.
It is very.
Is it also that way living there, or?
I mean, I wasn't living in London. I lived just outside of London.
Yeah, okay.
So where I was living it's a shithole.
Okay.
So, but it's like 20-minute train ride into London. Yeah. And I was like, oh, after I finished my master's, like, oh, I'm gonna move to London. Like, I want that experience. And then I realized that I'm just not a city person.
Okay.
I think I was in my like 19, 21, 22 kind of thing. But now that I've gotten a little older and kind of like the quieter life a bit. Yeah. I'm glad that was not my experience, because it would have been very expensive to move. That would have been an expensive experience to have.
Have to realize, oh, not for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, fair enough. And now when you move back to the U.S., it will be a city, or it will be your hometown?
It'll be my hometown, which is like, I'm in it's a kind of suburban. I wouldn't say rural. I live on the end of the Nansemond River, which comes out to the Chesapeake Bay and then into the ocean kind of thing.
I actually don't know what any of those words mean.
Yeah, I figured, as I started to say that, I'm like, that's going to mean nothing to you.
No, but you don't say the words, and it's nice to hear. Like,
yeah, I live on a river.
Okay. Water. Okay. And
our house has got like, it's like very scenic in the backyard, and it's nice, but we do live in like a more of a town. My town's known for like peanuts and farming and that kind of. So we have a peanut festival.
Oh, that's really sick. Like good peanut butter too, then I assume, or.
Yeah, like do you know? Oh, you wouldn't know this. It's an American company, maybe. Oh,
which one?
Planters Peanuts.
No.
It's like this peanut man with like a monocle and a top hat.
That actually does sound familiar.
Maybe it's like one of the biggest peanut brands in the U.S. Maybe you've seen it like kind of around somewhere.
I do like a good peanut butter. I also I lived in the Netherlands for 3 years for my master's, and the Dutch, they love their peanut butter.
I didn't know that.
It has very good peanut butter in the Netherlands, yeah.
Good to know. But fun facts.
Maybe you should bring some.
Yeah,
do a
we
peanut
can have a little
exchange. Yeah.
which is better. Yeah, we have a peanut festival.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, but I'm like half an hour to the beach, but also kind of live in a farmland, and also like Norfolk, which is home to like the biggest naval base in the country. That's like 30 minutes away from my house. So it's like everyone drives in the U.S.
Okay, yeah.
It's all very like commutable, but my hometown specifically, there's not a lot to do. It's kind of quiet.
Okay. But you like that, right? Or does that feel nice for you because it feels like calm and relaxing?
Hi.
Hello.
Sorry, we're filming a podcast, but you're welcome to come in. Are we in the way of your...
Okay, I'm just here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, are we okay to keep going? We don't want to disturb you. Okay.
I really think you should keep this in. I think you should keep it in.
I'm sort of, because, those two girls left, and so I'm like, what are the odds that the other two
come in
back?
Exactly this hour?
Yeah.
I mean,
live and learn.
Not even learn, because like there's nothing what could we do? We couldn't go to the living room.
It was
area
really
of the
loud down
hostel.
there.
Yeah, it was super loud, and I can't imagine the setup there.
Yeah, and I didn't know if they'd kind of weird of like you're recording things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that would have been chill. I just don't think it would have been good audio and distracting, and like my eyes would have like. I think when people make loud sounds, I just get like visually distracted. I think.
No, I agree. I forget what we were saying. We're talking about peanuts and things.
Yeah, peanuts. Oh no, because I was asking like if you're happy to be moving back to like a quiet town because then, like, because you. Like you said, you're not a city person, so are you kind of?
I really want to move to Colorado.
Okay.
Because I'd ideally like to be, like near the mountains or near the forest or kind of have lots of outdoorsy things to do.
Yeah.
But I guess that's like within a drivable distance from my hometown. I think I mean it'll be nice to see my family and things. I'm looking forward to moving back, but I have a feeling it's gonna get old, like before I get the chance to move. But
okay,
we'll see. But my plans I'll move back in like a month, get to see my family and things for Christmas, which will be really nice.
Yeah.
And my two older brothers are in the military, so that's like the only time I get to see them, like for certainty. And then I will hopefully just find a job locally and stay with my parents until I move out for my PhD, assuming I get in somewhere.
Okay. How are you feeling about that? I think moving back in with parents can be...
I'm very lucky that I'm quite close to my parents, and I'm looking forward to kind of seeing them, but I do think it's going to be weird I don't know if I was talking to you about this yesterday or someone, but no, it wasn't you, it was this other guy I met yesterday who left this morning. Just how you get used to living a certain way, and then your parents live a certain way, and I think it's going to be a weird adjustment of kind of co-living with them again. Yeah. But I don't know, I'm not super concerned, but my dad's home half the time because he works up in like Northern Virginia, so he's gone a fair bit. So mostly just be me and my mom, and we have a pretty big house since it's like 6 of us in the family, and everyone else has moved out.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be hard. Most of my like local friends have moved away.
Okay.
So it's gonna.
Maybe you have to re-meet some people who might have also moved back or in a similar boat as you. Maybe.
Yeah, I have a feeling I'll either be kind of hitting up friends from high school that I haven't spoken to in 7 years or something, or just making new friends at work, or I don't know. I'm afraid it's gonna get a bit lonely or a bit boring, but I think I'll figure it out. It'll be fine.
And sometimes there are phases of life maybe that are more lonely and boring, and then they pass also, and maybe that's just...
Yeah, I want to get a job and like just save up as much money as I can before I start my PhD anyway. So maybe the next 6 months is just stressing myself out with work until...
Yeah, but also maybe trying to find new ways like to interact with your hometown again, you know? Like, I don't know if you guys have a community center or like other things. Like, your friend doesn't have to be someone in your exact same phase of life. It can be like that woman who's like 45 and has a kid, and you both volunteer together for a few hours a week and somehow meet. Like I'm just like painting an imaginary picture, but
That's a
I
good
feel
point.
like there can be connection in so many things and people.
Yeah, I would love to volunteer at like my local animal shelter or something. So maybe I'd meet people through that.
How nice. Yeah, that sounds lovely. And I mean, like you said, everyone drives in the US, so it doesn't mean that the only friends you have are in your town, because like people drive to the next town or whatever. Right?
Exactly. I have 2 friends that live just outside of the DC area.
So, okay.
And when I go home like once or twice a year, I'll try to like have a day kind of gap between my flight where I go up and stay with them and kind of
Cute,
hang out with
yeah.
them. So and then we kind of have our little annual or biannual like check-in. It's
Yeah.
really nice.
Oh,
So
that sounds so nice.
they're only a couple hours away, so I'm sure I'll kind of occasionally go up and see them
Yeah.
as well. So it'll be nice kind of being closer to them.
Yeah, that sounds lovely.
I'm also planning on getting a cat.
Important. It's like with your mom, like your parents are in on it as well, or
Or
like once you move out, or what, like when will you get the cat?
I think I would probably get it and take it with me when I move out for my PhD.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know, I might have to wait and see kind of like what program I get into and like, because I might be given maybe like a student housing kind of thing and they don't allow pets and then my parents get stuck with a cat,
Yeah.
which might do them some good, but I think they would not like that forced upon
Maybe
them.
they would like to decide whether they
Want a cat?
need a cat. Yeah, for sure. No, I get that. Yeah, maybe it's good to just wait to see like what you get into, because then it could still be that starts months from then, right? But that in the meantime, you know what your housing situation will be.
Right. And also, let's say like my dream school's in Colorado. Maybe it makes more sense to get a cat once I'm moved out there and settled and not drag a cat halfway across the country.
Yeah.
I don't think that would go the best, but
Yeah.
again, that's a later Cassie problem.
Yeah, exactly. Cassie of the future can deal with it.
Yeah, I put a little bit too many problems on her sometimes, but
Yeah, but some things are just hard to solve in the moment. Yeah, you just have to wait and see a little bit.
no, I definitely used to have the problem too much of trying to plan too far in advance
Yeah.
and then getting really stressed out when it didn't plan out how I was hoping, and it's like
Yeah.
you can't plan 5 years in advance and hope everything works out exactly how you hoped it would.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
it's good to pawn things off to the future.
Yeah, and it sitting in the discomfort of not planning everything.
That's the theme of today.
Yeah, it's low-key the theme, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, instead of Human Connections, Cassie King featuring Emma, it's just going to be sitting with discomfort.
Sitting with discomfort, yeah.
we
I
just
mean,
Spend the next 10 minutes
just cut
just
it
in
here.
silence.
Sitting with discomfort. Make people uncomfortable and then force them to sit.
All right, think about what you did. We're going to go. Bye.
But I don't know. Isn't it like such a thing? I mean, you also want to be a therapist, right? So like, I feel like it's a important concept in therapy, I feel.
No, definitely. It's
Yeah.
like leaning into the discomfort. I don't know if you're familiar with the company Yes Theory.
Why did I just have an image? Maybe because we're staying at Yes Hostels.
Probably, yeah.
No.
Their motto is seek the discomfort. And so I actually have like one of their hats, but they're a YouTube channel and they're like this group of guys that is all about doing new things and just kind of putting yourself out there. And
Yeah.
their YouTube videos are crazy of like, one of them was, they went to the most boring town in America and threw a party and tried to make it more lively kind of thing.
Okay, that's really cute. I feel like, though, I don't know how they do it, but it sounds like, I feel like sometimes this thing of seeking discomfort can be a very oriented towards like seeking physical discomfort, like, oh, let me jump out of a plane or something. I feel like for me, I think I also cherish the seeking discomforts that are like small and things that you don't even like, wouldn't even necessarily like name as uncomfortable because they're not intuitively uncomfortable, but they actually tend to be, and we don't sit in them enough. Like, for example, someone who is like, if you're always talking to fill the silence, as like we were talking about before, like you might not even be able to name it. That's like that you are not able to sit with the discomfort of
You don't think about it enough.
You don't think about that as the thing. You're just like, oh, I just like to fill the silence. Versus like jumping out of an airplane, you're like, yeah, that's definitely some discomfort there that I'm. You know what I mean? A little bit?
Yeah,
Or I don't know
yeah.
what they do. Do they also do kind of a little bit more gentle discomforts? Or what's the YouTube channel like?
It tends to be, I don't know, their content's all over. I haven't watched them in a while just because I've not been on kind of scrolling as much.
Okay, yeah.
But I know they've done things like, oh, they'll drop one of them will go to a foreign country with no money in their pockets and have to rely on like the hospitality of the people of the country and seeing
Okay.
like how that goes kind of thing. So it's also things like that, which
Okay, yeah.
I guess is more like cultural discomfort.
Yeah.
And
Okay. I was just wondering if they're like playing with the concept of discomfort and finding different kinds, not just like let me stick my hand in a bucket of spiders, you know, or something like that. That's very like
No, I would say they
Daredevil-ish,
definitely
you know?
they have like a variety of kind of content that they make.
Okay.
But yeah, I find what they do really interesting. So and it kind of I think you'd like kind of what they do.
I will check them out. That sounds like a fun thing to watch. Also, like if they reflect on it in like an insightful way later or during, I'd love to see that.
They're very kind of deep and meaningful people. That
love that.
I know.
We love deep and meaningful people.
Yeah, I think that's why I don't know, I got into watching them before I even started traveling really, and I was I don't know, I find them really inspiring. They're like really genuine people that just care about kind of making an impact on the things around them.
Yeah, they sound bold.
They're bold's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Or brave. Yeah, I think it's brave to sit in discomfort. Yeah.
I think it's brave to just like solo travel and things as well. The amount of people I meet, like friends that are just like, oh my god, I can never do that.
Yeah.
It's just like, why? So many people are like, I know some people that like have the time and are in an ideal situation where they could do something like this, but there's like a fear that stops
There's a barrier, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I don't know, I think I'm very much, I just kind of jump in and figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think I find it interesting people that can't do that. And I'm curious of like what it is exactly that they fear from traveling.
I wonder, I mean, you seem also fairly extroverted. As aforementioned, I am also fairly extroverted. For me, I find the idea of like meeting new people, talking to new people, and needing to interact with like basically strangers all day until they become quasi friends, and then for them to leave again the next day and new people to come. Like for me, I find that of course it takes some energy, but the amount it takes is really little compared to what I think it takes for other people.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
For people that have kind of more social anxiety in general.
Yeah. Hello,
Hi, welcome
no
back.
worries. Welcome back.
Tried to stay out as long as I could.
Oh, thank you. That's
Do
really
you need me to
nice,
move
but-
this?
I might, yeah. Sorry.
It's alright. We've got company again.
I
think-
live here.
What was your name?
Carson.
Carson.
What was your name again?
Mine's Emma.
Emma.
She's in the room next door.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm Cassie.
Cassie, nice to meet
I live here.
you. Are you guys going to dinner or no?
Yeah, what time is it actually?
It's 8:20.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah,
I guess we'll wrap it
we
up.
can wrap it
soon.
up and
yeah.
and head down shortly. Are you gonna end up coming? You think?
I'm gonna check it out because I don't know what the veggie option is.
That's a good
they
point.
also only advertise the meat option, and then, but if it sounds good, I might stay.
I know they're doing meatballs. So if they're vegetarian meatballs, that would be.
How long? Sorry, I know you're in your pocket.
Yeah, you're fine.
No, no.
Bye. Part of the podcast. How long have you been at this hostel?
I got here yesterday.
Oh, okay. Did you have the dinner yesterday?
It was good.
Decent? Yeah.
I think it was worth the money because you
I was
get.
gonna say it's not a bad price. Well, and if you do the pub crawl, it's $24 for dinner and that.
That, yeah, and you get a drink with the
Yeah.
dinner, and then it's like a soup, main, and then a dessert. The dessert was a bit small, but it was like we could not figure out what it was. It was this weird like
Oh.
kind of think like heavy cream, and ice cream had a baby, where it was almost like a really thick whipped cream as a cake,
Okay.
That is interesting.
and that had Nutella and like a crumb
Wild.
thing on
Sounds
top.
fun though. Sounds
It
nice.
was good. It was really good. But yeah, we could not figure out what it was. But I don't remember what we were saying.
Sorry.
Sitting
You're
in-
fine.
No, honestly, we're just rolling with it. We're just making this part of the podcast, I think, at the moment. So, you be as you are.
Happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, right? I don't know what we were talking about. We were talking about, like...
Discomfort,
Discomfort.
yes theory.
Oh, yes, yeah. And then...
Social anxiety with traveling.
Right. It's not even so much about... It's about social anxiety, but it's also just about, like, how much do you... Because, like, for me, it might be a little demanding sometimes also to, like, interact with new people. But mostly it's fun. Like, mostly I'm just myself, I'm at ease, I'm chilling. So, obviously, that just makes the experience so much, like, lighter and better. Versus if someone else, it just takes a lot of energy, or they have some anxiety associated with it as well, like, that's just a different experience. So I think I really get why then traveling solo, where either you're in Airbnbs and you're like really, really alone, or you're in hostels and like
It's hard to find the
kind of
happy
forced
medium.
to interact. Yeah, so I don't know. But I have found it so much easier than I thought to travel alone, because I've never traveled alone, and now it's like a month alone. So I did kind of go from 0 to 100 a bit, but it's been such a good experience. Also, to be fair, I think I've taken it easy, and I've done things that feel good, and I've treated myself to lots of nice food and seen lots of beautiful sights, and I'm in a pretty good place, like mentally in general in my life. So
That's good.
I'm been chilling. Yeah.
No, I find, I don't know, I've enjoyed solo traveling, but it also, in some ways, it was harder than I thought it was going to be.
Okay, that's interesting. How come?
I think I'm also a pretty extroverted person, but being alone for so long, like, I liked traveling with just, like, one of my friends.
Yeah.
And being alone for so long, it, like, did kind of get lonely at times.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
Especially when I was volunteering in Spain for 2 weeks. And the only other volunteers that were there was this American couple, and they'd go off and do like cute coupley stuff, and I'm just kind of sat there and I was like, I miss, like, I wish I had some, I was so, and I told them, I'm like, I'm so envious of your situation. You guys, like, I would love to travel with my partner. Dude, I can move the thing.
No. Side note. This is my very first time solo traveling too.
Oh,
Really?
cool.
Yeah. I'm meeting so many like young women who are also like traveling for the first time alone. I think it's so great. I love it.
There's a lot of like.
It's like a 3-week trip just totally by myself. Like I've always traveled with my sister or another girlfriend or friends or something. But yeah, today was the day. Like it's been better than I thought it was gonna be. But today was the first day that I like had to call my sister because I was like, I'm getting kind of lonely.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah,
And that's why I'm
totally
forcing myself to do dinner and the pub crawl tonight because I was like, I need to socialize. I haven't met a single friend.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well,
Yeah.
we'll be down in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Well, you might with
Yeah,
your.
I think I'll come and investigate the
Investigate the
vegetarian
veggie meatballs.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think being around a couple for like 2 weeks made me realize like how much I miss kind of having someone there.
Yeah.
But it kind of comes in waves. Like I'll have like a day where I just feel really down and I'm just like, man, I wish I had like a friend here. I kind of just don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
But then there's other days where I'm like, wow, I love being alone. Like it's I can make all my decisions. Or I'll get an Airbnb occasionally and just kind of chill. And I'm like, wow, I have this whole place to myself. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'll move this guy back over us.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. I think I've had the same thing also. I say now, like, I feel like my brain is such a biased place because sometimes I forget, blur out parts that were not so good. So, for example, I just remember that yesterday or the day before, I had like 3 hours during the day where I was just like in bed, like staring at the ceiling, being like, I feel so drained somehow. Also just like bouncing between places and so many impressions and lots of introductions. And then I was just like, oh my God, like now I'm missing out on time to go explore things. Like, what am I doing and whatever. And then I also felt lonely. So
I completely
just to
feel
say
that.
I'm here like, oh, and I'm chilling. Everything's great. But I forgot that yesterday I was having a hard time in the middle of the day. So yeah.
No, I get it comes in waves. I think the good definitely outweighs the bad, at least for me.
Yeah.
But there's moments where you're just kind of like, yeah, you're either tired and don't want to go out and you're beating yourself up because you're taking that time to relax or you just miss being around people and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think, but I think sometimes it's also about practice. It's about sitting in the discomfort of being alone, right? A little bit like...
discomfort.
Yeah. Like maybe, you need to practice it a little bit in the first like 5 times you do it. Like maybe the first time you take like an afternoon by yourself. And then the next time you do like a day, and then you do a weekend, and then you do a multiple week trip or a week trip, and like kind of just practicing this process of like being alone and spending time in your own company and trying to like do a mix of like letting yourself have fun and be present in the moment, but also maybe stuff comes up for you while you're alone because you're not distracted by others, and then kind of sitting with that and then giving yourself like compassion when you need it for like it's that you're feeling down, but also enjoying your happy moments. And also knowing when to give yourself a little push, like, okay, now we've been like vegetating in bed for 3 hours, maybe it's time to go see something, like kind of doing all of that a little bit and practicing the process of doing that.
No, I agree.
a bit.
I think it's more complicated than it's made out to be. And I think I had a kind of, not tainted, I had a very altered reality of what I thought it would be like. Because you see, bloggers and influencers and all those people out traveling, and I don't think the discomfort of traveling is talked about enough.
Of traveling alone or traveling?
I think either way, but I mean, different problems come up, I think.
True. Yeah.
Depending on which one you're doing. But definitely traveling alone, there's not enough talk about it. That's something I want to do a couple solo episodes where I just kind of get into my experiences.
Yeah, that's cool.
The things I liked versus not liked.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that will kind of come up as one of them.
I think that would be nice. I think that would be I would totally listen to those episodes.
Well, you will soon.
I will listen along in general. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, this side note, when I met Emma last night, I was like, I don't know if we said this at the beginning, you have such a nice podcast sounding voice.
Aww.
You could get paid to narrate audiobooks, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's so lovely to say.
You sat down and you start talking and my ear immediately went to your voice because I was just like, wow, that is such a nice sounding voice.
Oh, that's so nice. That's just a nice thing to say. I think you also have that, and you also have very expressive eyes.
I've been told that. Yeah.
Which
Babies
is a very nice
me.
quality. Babies love you. Okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's also really good for radio or TV or performance things to talk and kind of command a presence partially through that. So yeah, I think we both need to get into.
This is gonna make us rich and famous.
I think so too. It's actually a financial opportunity. That's why I'm doing this. First and foremost. Yeah.
There you go. I'm gonna start having to write some checks down.
Yeah. After this, we're gonna have a chat about compensation. No, but yeah, that's really nice to say. And like I said, I love to talk, and I also love to. I don't know. I have many thoughts about things, and I like to share them, and I like to discuss them with people. Mm-hmm. And so it's really nice that we get to do it.
I agree. Yeah. Well, on another side note, as we've approached the hour, would you like to do your words of wisdom?
Yes, and how does it work? Do I share them also,
Yeah, so
verbally, or?
I've said this on I think every episode, but basically, this is my words of wisdom book. It goes with me everywhere. I started doing this in 2021 at a music festival, actually. And so the first couple ones are my brothers and a couple of my friends that we did that, but you can kind of see the vibe of what it's like. And then these are people I've met traveling. But yeah, anytime I meet someone interesting or that I talk to and that kind of thing, people I travel with, people I've met traveling, people I meet kind of anywhere, they write some wisdom in my book. And so
very nice.
What I've started doing on the podcast is at the end of it, I have them write their words of wisdom and then kind of read them as a nice kind of final note.
Okay.
But are you ready?
Nice.
Are you ready for it?
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, there you go.
I think you know what it's gonna be.
So I know the
You have
theme.
a feeling?
Yeah.
So can I just take a sec to write it?
Yeah, go for it.
It's just signed. It's from Emma. I wanted to write dear, but no. So I wrote, sit in the discomfort of difficult but worthwhile changes. That involves slowing life down, reflecting, prioritizing, and learning slowly to be with your own thoughts. So I think for me, I've been trying to make an effort to just be a bit more intentional with what I want to do, what's important to me, kind of along the lines of prioritizing, as we talked about before. And I think that actually comes with a lot of discomfort, because I feel that there's a lot of pressure to do a lot of things in the lives that we lead, especially those of us who are privileged to have too many opportunities and too many options and too much that we could do, and things like LinkedIn and Instagram and whatever maybe partially make that worse, because we're just seeing everyone do everything all the time, and that just creates this impression that to live a full life, that's what we need to do. And that can range from so many things. That can mean that you're on a trip and you won't let yourself have the rest you need because you're worried about missing another activity and another thing that you should be doing. So for me, to counter that, I think the way to do it is to try to slow things down a little bit, be mindful, be with yourself, figure out is this really an important thing for me right now, or actually do I value something else a bit more, or do I want some rest, or whatever. And I think because that goes against sort of the messaging we receive partially from the outside, that can be very uncomfortable. And I think part of the way of getting comfortable with that is first sitting with the discomfort so that it passes a bit more and you learn how to manage it a little bit and be gentle with yourself through the discomfort.
I think that's one of my favorite, like, messages that someone's written in here.
You say that to all the...
No, I'm being... You can watch the other ones.
Okay.
No, I think that message, like, resonates with kind of me and what I've been especially kind of figuring out with myself as I've been traveling. So I think that's a really good
I appreciate
message.
that. Cool. Nice. Yeah. It's something that's like, I think really guided the last few years of my life in a way as well. So
That resonates with me the last, like, couple months of my life specifically.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good one. Cool. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Like, I only know you for like an hour, and then I was like, you want to come talk about your life for an hour?
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me, Cassie. It was really nice. I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, that is this episode of Human Connections with Cassie King. This is Emma.
It's me. This is Cassie.
This is Cassie. And sit in the discomfort.
Sit in the discomfort, people. I'm uncomfortable.
All right.